We haven't had much rain.
We did need it, and we got it.
I a little wet, I
I would help. Somebody's cheerleader.
not yet.
I went on a boat ride the other day.
I thought you were up
It's sunny, right?
Oh, I know. It's heading that way. Straight, it's going straight down 23.
We need rain.
Yeah.
I'd recommend purchasing an umbrella, but I'm afraid our fees will go up.
It's a little wet out there.
But that's when we did this on the first one. Probably our final.
Figured it was on this.
All right, good evening, everybody. Please be seated. The time now is 7 o'clock. We'll call our meeting to order. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's very nice. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Kurt Schultz.
Here.
Zach Tucker.
Here.
Herman Ferguson.
Here.
Jennifer Eden. Here. Mike Cunningham.
Here.
And David Walker is absent.
David Walker said that he had an emergency with his business and that he should show up. He just didn't know what time. There was a minor glitch. We left one of the properties off under new business item number 2. So technically, we'll go ahead and amend the agenda to include that additional structure. Do we have any other changes? I'll entertain the motion.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next is approval of the consent agenda. The regular board meeting minutes from June 15th, 2021. The special board meeting minutes from June 21st, 2021. The treasurer's report and the clerk's warrants and bills.
So moved.
Support.
Been motioned and supported to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next is communications. We have 4 communication items. Item number 1 is the Livingston County Sheriff's Report dated May 31st, 2021. The Livingston County Sheriff Report dated June 30th, 2021. The Emergency Services Report dated July 14th, 2021. And the Planning Commission meeting and public hearing synopsis dated July 13, 2021.
So moved.
It's been motioned and supported to receive and place on file communications 1 through 4. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Next is unfinished business. We have none. We will move on to new business. Item number 1 is a request from the Preserve Association, or it's not a request, it's actually a discussion for the Preserve Association. They have talked to us about doing a land split out there. There's some legal questions and stuff, and we will have our zoning administrator Ross and our legal counsel Chuck Whitmer to go over that with us tonight. So Chuck, did you want to explain what they're thinking out there?
Yeah, there's a portion of the development out there that the township was led to believe was gonna be open space 20-some odd years ago, before any of us were part of the township here conducting business. Back when the development was proposed and when it was going through the process of the township, a subdivision plan was presented to the township, and the borderline for the subdivision plan indicated that a portion of it would be kept as open space. The township ultimately approved of the project, but as it turns out, the master plan that was prepared and recorded with the Register of Deeds does not include in its legal description this parcel of property as open space. My review of the documents, what we have quite a few, but probably don't have all that could be pertinent, leads me to believe that the township was back then snookered. Because the subdivision plan shows the boundary in bold, I'm gonna guess that the township board at the time and all the committees and all that firmly believed that this area of the development was to be kept as open space. For whatever reason, however it happened, the legal description in the master deed didn't include that. So here we are 20 years later, and the owner of that parcel wants to divide and develop that. I was told in discussions that I had with their attorney, I think they wanted 6 splits or something like that. It wasn't firm, it wasn't concrete. And we had the discussion of whether or not that parcel should be kept as open space as part of this development. The attorney, of course, for the owner raised his points as to why it wasn't the open space in the document, because, as he said, the master deed doesn't include it in the legal description. He said that over the last 20-some odd years, that parcel has been taxed as an individual parcel, as opposed to the taxes for that open space being attributed to each of the units in the development. So for those reasons, they claim that this is not part of the development, and they have the right to do what they want with the property. From our perspective, we have a subdivision plan. And from our perspective, over the last 20-some odd years, it has been open space. And we've treated it as that, open space. But missing is the legal description in the master deed, and that's what was recorded with the Register of Deeds.
Obviously by the developer.
By the developer.
Now this, so people know, this was all brought on by Lee Jones Road being a private road and owned by that subdivision and falling into a state of disrepair. I guess the golf course owner, correct me if I'm wrong, is interested in those parcels and paving, in exchange for paving Lee Jones Road for the residents. The question that I have is, So this was an approved site condo, correct?
Yes.
What does the Site Condo Act say about open space?
It has its requirements in there.
If they were to do something on here, would they still be able to meet those requirements, do you know?
Well, if it's a separate parcel and they develop it, then what the township approved as open space wouldn't then be part of that development. And, in all likelihood, it would violate the requirements of open space.
Chuck, is it a subdivision or a condo? And
Condo.
sorry for being
Condo.
technical, but
Condo.
thank you. Do we know if there are other public spaces that the condo has treated appropriately, or is this the only open space?
That I can't tell you.
Yes, there are additional open space areas. What's unknown right now is whether or not this would be a required open space area. They're required a certain percentage under both the act and our local ordinance. But right now, we haven't really gotten to that point. It's basically a question of whether or not this is within the condominium boundaries or it's not. If it's not, then we can treat it under the Land Division Act. If it is, then it would be the Condominium Act, it would be an amendment to the condo.
Do we know how the current owner acquired title?
It has exchanged hands a couple of times, as I recall.
The entire development, that is, or this particular?
Well, this particular and the entire development has changed hands. I can't tell you whether or not the current owners engaged in any type of fraud or anything like that. I have no idea.
All the players are gone.
The players are gone, and when you do title work, when you're purchasing property, they're gonna be looking for, some sort of restrictions such as in the master deed, but if the legal description in the master deed doesn't include this, then the buyer wouldn't be on notice of that.
So there's one other piece of set-aside open space that's close to this area, and they're both the same parcel number.
This is, this parcel ID number is, it has a non-contiguous portion to the north that's actually within the
Boundary.
primary condo boundary. This one piece was detached, but shown as within the condominium according to our approval documents, but not described in what was recorded.
And we have different owners, right?
Yes.
But what we approved was it to be setback or open space.
Open space. From everything I've read, the township was led to believe that this was gonna be a part of it, and it was gonna be open space. And again, I point to the subdivision plan, the drawing of it. And the drawing has the clear, bold lines showing the boundary. And this open space is within that boundary.
Sounds like a legal conundrum.
It is. There's no clear answer as to, I can't
And
predict.
if we challenge this, it could be long, drawn out, costly.
It would be costly. It depends, of course, on how aggressive the property owner wants to be. Obviously, they think there is some value there, and it might be worth the fight to them.
So what's the logical solution?
What I would suggest is that we have them put in writing what their plans would be, so that we can evaluate it and see if it's something that the township may want to engage in discussions about, to avoid the risk of losing some control.
I'd make a motion that we request the proposal in writing.
I'll support that.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Been motion and second to request, I'm sorry.
I'm actually the president of the HOA.
Yep.
And we are the owners of the lot, of the property now. We, took the ownership of the property last year about this time. from the developer. The developer sold all his lots off.
Okay,
So he basically just quitclaim deed us the property. At that time, he told us that when he bought the lot, when he bought the property, he's the second owner. He was forced to put in sewer taps on 3 of those lots.
Right.
What we're talking about is not those, this drawing is not an accurate depiction right now. This is what got us to this meeting.
right,
I got this drawing and it said three big parcels. I wanted 3 1-acre lots. The, we wanted, sorry, the HOA wanted 3 1-acre lots. That's what was promised to the golf course as part of our deal. And he wanted them on those, where those sewer taps are put in. But you can't have 1-acre lots for the township's requirements for new lots.
correct.
So that's how we got into this meeting. I came and met with Ross, and he said, well, you need to get variance on that. And then he looked up the parcel number, and he said, well, you can't split that. I said, well, okay, what do you mean? It's got 3 sewer taps on it, I don't understand. Why is there 3 sewer taps? And we're talking along Nymphy Road right there. We're only talking along
Right.
3 lots along. Not that big parcel area, that's not gonna get sold. Part of it will, but it's just gonna be 3 1-acre lots along Nymphy Road that are already primed for development. That's what the golf course is seeking in his bargain, and the association is paying the other half of the bill to fix Lee Jones Road. So,
Right.
we're talking a large portion of money that we've been missing out on if he doesn't get these lots. This is why we're heavily contesting this. And we, and then we look back and we paid all the back taxes on this.
Okay.
And my thought was, well, if we let it go into foreclosure and we didn't take it over and pay over the back taxes, then what would have happened to those lots?
Right, right.
What would have happened to that land? Anybody could have came in and developed it.
Is there any relief under our ordinance for what he just mentioned to us, Ross?
Under our ordinance, no, because the main question is whether it's governed by, if this were a land division, the Land Division Act, or if it is under the Condominium Act as an amendment to the condominium. I mean, it's 2 Michigan laws that's the big question. That's the way that I look at it from an administrative standpoint. Once we know the answer to that, we can proceed one way or the other. But it's just, how do we treat it? It was approved one way and it was recorded another way. Ownership has changed, so it's a really tricky one. But ultimately, we just need to have an answer in order to figure out which process we need to follow.
And what answer do we need?
Either it's within the condo or outside of the condo.
The only way to have a definitive answer on that would be through litigation. And that's going to be just what the judge believes it's going to be. If we entertain a proposal from them, then we get to decide through an agreement or whatever, what it is.
But if the proposal violates the Site Condo Act and open space requirements as set forth by the state, then we're kind of bound to that, aren't we?
Well, see, the question is it really part of the development? And that's a question that, litigation would have to decide once and for all. If it is, then we would have to follow the Condominium Act, and yes, we would have to follow the directives of open space. We'd have to calculate how much open space is there, whether this is actually needed for it or not. If we have discussions with them and come to an agreement, then the agreement would dictate, obviously, what it would be. And if we reach an agreement, in all likelihood, the agreement would be that it's not part of it, and this would be governed under the Land Division Act.
Can I also add one more? The Livingston County has a different set of plans on file than Tyrone Township does.
Oh, boy.
So this is where we went from the Livingston County plans. We started this process, we saw this. We started hiring survey companies, got through the process, got the survey back, got the drawings back, saw the lot sizes, and whoa, wait, those aren't what we asked for. And off the Livingston County's plans, master plans, and they show this as outside the, it's not part of the condo association.
It's examples like that which cause me to believe that the township was snookered.
So, is this a possible scenario? Let them file litigation and we let the judge know that we're gonna work on a consent judgment after he determines what the,
Well, from a legal standpoint, from strategies talking, if we let the judge decide, the judge decides
yeah.
that's not, then we lose some control. But if it's dubious as to what it should be, whether it should be governed under the Condominium Act or Land Division Act, then through discussions, perhaps we can negotiate something that everybody can live with.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for you to come forth with a proposal. Do you still want to go forward with that motion?
Yes.
Okay. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Chuck. You're free to go if you want to stick around, you can.
I'm gonna check and see what the weather's like.
Thank you, Ross.
I think I'll go.
Thank you. Hold on just a second. Try restarting. Wi-Fi now? Bring my Wi-Fi.
I don't know.
No, it shows it's active. Where's the remote for the computer? No, still work on that. Let's just keep things moving. Item number 2 is request to seek legal action on property that are non-compliance with the beautification and unsafe ordinance. The first one is 8101 Old US 23. This is a building that's located on Old US 23. The back half of it has collapsed. It's been condemned by the county building department as unsafe. There is a chain link fence around it. We've sent them enforcements on it. They said that they were gonna have an engineer look at it. They said their engineer was coming out today. They never got back to us. We sent them several letters, phone calls, and they are not responding to us. So the only other option is to take them to court. You can see there's all types of bricks and walls, the roof's caved in, it's unsafe. But the funny thing about it is, he's also, excuse me? If you guys have something to talk about, you guys can take that outside. Thank you. The roof is caved in, there's brick block all around, and he's continuing to sell used automobiles out front, so people are coming and going out of there, and I think we need to get on this before we have another problem on our hand. The second one is, oh, let's make one motion. Is 11451 Old US 23. This is the old Bolton Farm. There's several structures that are on this floor, they're on this parcel. They've gotten in there, they've knocked down windows, some of the buildings are partially collapsed. They're in disrepair. The Livingston County Building Department has been out there and they said, yep, those buildings need to come down, they're unsafe. And as of late, teenagers have been hanging out there doing teenage stuff in them, so we've sent several requests. When we first contacted the property owner, he said he bought it, didn't even know there were houses on it. And he said he would take care of it, never got back to us. This enforcement's been going on since 5/19, and they're not responding to us either. They responded one time when our attorney sent them a letter, and they stopped responding. So both of these, I believe, need to go get a nudge from the judge.
Make a motion to ask the township attorney to file lawsuits with respect to both properties.
Support.
Been motioned and supported to have the township attorney file a lawsuit with the respectable properties. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next is item number 3, the request of the treasurer to attend the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association Fall Conference, something that our treasurer does every year. We budget for it. It's a budgeted expense. The conference cost for that is $359, and then there's gonna be, room and parking will be additional. They never cover the cost of that, so.
Mike, these are budgeted expenses, right?
Correct.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been motion and supported to approve the treasurer to attend the MMTA Fall Conference. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion carries. Item number 4 is request to release PEG funds to the schools. As you know, we have public education grant funds that are collected off local cable channels. This is money that the township holds, and it's to be used for educational purposes. So there's a Fenton Area Cable Television Consortium that includes Fenton Township, City of Fenton, Tyrone Township, City of Linden. The schools that it covers are Fenton Area Public Schools, Lake Fenton Community Schools, Linden Community Schools, Heartland Consolidated Schools, South Lakes Parks and Recreation, and the cost of the Fact Peg Coordinator. Our contribution for this year appears to be $40,707. That breaks out to roughly $12,000 for Fenton, $16,000 for Lake Fenton, $1,000 for Linden Schools, $10,000 for Heartland Consolidated Schools. They use money to buy equipment to do training in the classroom, to broadcast on the public channel on cable TV. So that's what it's used for.
Mike, what was Fenton's percentage? It was 12,000 and Linden was somewhere around 1,000?
Linden is 1,664, and Fenton is 12,149.
But I was wondering what lies the difference between that Fenton and Linden?
Yeah, I can answer, but you can too. Go ahead. So every year they have a need for different equipment. Some years, some school districts require more. Some years, some school districts require less. It's all dependent on, you know, the life expectancy of the equipment, what needs to be repaired, and what needs to be purchased.
Okay.
Did I miss anything?
Well, the percentage of what we pay out is based on the fees that we all, the Fenton, City of Fenton, Tyrone, and Linden, all gather from the year, and then it's broke down by percentages.
Any other questions? Good.
Thank you.
All right, do you have any other questions regarding that? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to release the pay funds.
It's been motioned and supported to release the PEG funds. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 5. Roads and Runyon Lake improvement discussions. This is something I'm actually really excited to talk about. It's a long time coming. As you know, most of you know, that public roads are under the control of Livingston County Road Commission. For several years, the Livingston County Road Commission had a primary pavement preservation program where they would partner with townships. If you wanted something paved, you'd submit a proposal to them. We'd like to, you know, have this road paved this year, this road paved next year, whatever. And they would cover 50% with the township, chipping in 50%. The number one complaint by far is the condition of our roads. So we started, you know, participating in this plan, and it has been met with great response, and everybody's thrilled that we're improving the quality of our roads. We are not only doing paved roads, but we've also been funding gravel road improvements with ditching and tree cutting, and bringing gravel in, adding shapes to the road. So that's been very helpful. So our previous road commissioner would not budge on paving primary roads. And if you wanted a secondary road paved, you would have to fund it 100%. And the township just doesn't have that type of funding to go around, repave Runyon Lake Road, Center Road, Heartland Road, Denton Hill Road, etc. by ourselves. I'm sorry, Denton Hill was a primary road, not a secondary road. So the new commissioner, Steve Wasilic, has changed that, and he met with us last week, and he said, yeah, Mike, we will, we'll go 50% on the secondary roads. Most everybody in here has probably traveled down Runyon Lake Road, and they understand that that is a extreme public safety hazard. I would like to, you know, propose to the board that we participate in this program and start paving that road. They've committed and agreed that next year they will do from Center Road up to Foley Road. And then the following year, they will do from Foley Road up to White Lake Road and Center Road. So if we were to look at what that's gonna cost us in the next 2 years, it's gonna cost us $662,210. We're gonna have to pinch every penny and dime we have to meet that. This is just the first 2 years to get going. There's a 3-year plan that also includes the upper portion of Runyon Lake Road, the south portion of Runyon Lake Road, the rest of White Lake Road, Fenton Road from White Lake Road down to Center Road, Heartland Road at the north, several projects. Next year they're proposing to do, like I said, Runyon Lake Road from Center to Foley. They're also proposing a chip seal and fog on Heartland Road from Center Road to Carmer. Old US 23 from Partialville to White Lake, they're gonna crack seal and do that. And then I misspoke, they want to do Center Road from Linden Road to Old US 23 next year. So, next year's expenses are gonna be $392,710, the following year, $269,500.
Mike, I have a question on going from Center Road to Foley Road. It seems like there's more traffic from White Lake Road to Foley. What's the difference? Why they wanted to start at Center and come to Foley?
Because the safety and the condition of that part of the road.
Okay.
It's,
far worse from, I know it's bad.
I don't know
I
if
just-
far, it's about as worse can be, and I don't know if there's a far worse when it comes
I'm
to
just
it.
looking at the traffic going
Right.
from White Lake Road to Foley Road. It seems like there's more traffic that way than if you're coming from Center Road to Foley Road. Could they do a traffic study to see how much volume travels down that beach road?
So the traffic count on Runyon Lake Road to Center is 303 cars a day, and then up north it's 1,100 cars a day. So you're right, there is more cars travel, but I think it really got down to the safety factor. I don't know, have you driven that road a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody drives right down the center of the road, especially when you get
Right.
just before Foley, all the way down to Center, so, it doesn't matter to me what end we start at, just as long as we get started. But I think they were also looking at Center Roads really bad, and there are funds available to do it, and it worked out better that way as well.
Okay,
So-
because the distance between Center Road and Foley Road is shorter than it is from Foley to
Let's look at that.
White Lake Road?
Center Road to Foley is .99. Foley to White Lake is 1.40. So they wanted to get Center Road done next year too. So if you've driven Center Road out to Linden,
Right.
and it has 2,006 cars a day. No, was it 3,600?
No, 2,000.
2,036 cars a day. So, that's why they did it that way,
Okay.
so they could get Center Road done next
All
year.
right,
Good
thank
question.
you.
Yep, good question.
Is the project, is the base intact? Do they know if they gotten to that point?
So they're gonna crush and shape. So basically, they're gonna take off all that asphalt, shape what's underneath, and put down all the asphalt.
Okay, so that cost is probably fixed then, it's not like they were discovered
Well,
something else?
once we sign that contract, if they get underneath there and they find more, they always pick up that
Okay.
extra.
Okay,
So that's the one thing that's great about contract, is they give us a price, and they get under there and they find that there's a spring underneath the road, and they gotta do some type of, water diversion, or some additional base, or some sort of geotextile fabric to keep the integrity of the road from falling in. That's not coming out of that bucket.
okay.
So I'm pretty excited about this, because it's been the biggest complaint by far, and I think a lot of our residents are gonna be happy that something's happening out there. And like I said, it's gonna strain us financially, but we can do it. So I just wanted to bring that to attention, let people know that that's what's on the docket. I don't think the board is going to, unless they're opposed to it, and we have to address it. It's a major safety hazard, and something that's used every day by a lot of people, and it needs to be fixed. Yeah, we'll wait till we get to the contract to approve it, but I just wanted to let people know what was going on. It was good news that we just got, and I wanted to share it. I thought it was important. Next is item number 6, the American Rescue Plan funding application. Marcy?
So, I think most of you are aware that the American Rescue Plan Act is providing coronavirus relief to all governmental entities. Townships, all but 8 of them are considered non-entitlement units, and that means that we'll receive our funding directly from the state instead of the U.S. Department of Treasury. Excuse me. And our current estimated allocation is $1,105,509, and the portal to be able to submit the online application just went live Tuesday, July 6th, with a deadline to submit the application Tuesday, July 27th. So it's a short window, but we have the application completed and plan to get that submitted tomorrow. And we will get 50% in 2021 and 50% in 2022. And there's guidance out there, but there's no final guidance yet from the state. So we don't know exactly what we can spend that money on when we get it, but it's coming. And
If we get approved.
right. That's about it.
Good. So, we'll keep you posted on that. Next is item number 7, Historic Townhouse Committee update. A couple months ago, I had asked the Township Board to put a committee together for future uses of the old Township Hall. Since that time, some other options have come up, and we really haven't decided exactly what avenue we're going to take with that. So I thought I was getting a little too far ahead of the program, so I didn't officially put anybody on it. One of the things that was a little bit disheartening is there was a lot of passion about it, and I asked some of those people with a lot of passion, and their biggest concern was, well, who else is going to be on the committee? Usually when somebody asks you to be on a committee, you say, well, yeah, I'm honored. I look forward to it, you know. I want to give you my feedback and advice. So that was a little shaking, so for right now, I've tabled that indefinitely, and once we figure out what we're going to do, if that need arises again, then I'll proceed with that, and that's the update. That's kind of where we're at right now.
And I had something I wanted to add to that. We've had people complaining that we don't want to collaborate. Well, I wanted to talk about that because Sarah Dolman Jersey and Jeanette Rapata, or Janie Gibb, I'm not sure what your real name is.
My previous last name is Gibb,
Okay.
yes.
Well, you say you want to collaborate with the township officials, but your social media posts indicate quite the contrary.
Please point
Your
out which
comments
one.
on social media, it's my turn to speak.
Mhm.
Your comments on social media are inflammatory and deceitful and seem to be filled with hate and bitterness. When you started your original Facebook group in an attempt to fight the asphalt plant, you used the acronym CRAP. How does that term show any intent to work with township officials?
Wasn't mine, it was people
It's my
before us.
turn to talk. You chose to spend thousands of unnecessary dollars on attorney fees to fight something that the township was already properly handling because you weren't patient with the process. How does that show fiscal responsibility? Yet you continue to say that you want to collaborate with us. I see it as you want what you want and not as an intent to work together to find a satisfactory solution. Since your bullying tactics are not working, maybe it's time for you to really learn what true collaboration is. Collaboration means applying truth, trust, respect, willingness, empowerment, and effective communication to human relationships. If we don't have these things in common and you continue to undermine our efforts every step of the way and question our integrity, we will never get to a point where we can truly collaborate for a common goal.
Do I get a chance to respond
During
to
public
this?
comment.
Yes, you have your public comment time.
3 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes to respond to
You are
everything
making
she
all those
said?
accusations?
Wow,
You have 3 minutes at public comment.
okay. I'll address the lies then.
One more outburst, and I will ask you to leave.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, well, crystal clear.
I'm fiscal clear. Crystal.
We have no miscellaneous business. Public remarks. This is a time for residents to voice their comments, opinions, or concern on township-related issues, and each person is allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. Please understand, this is not a question and answer session, and the board may not answer questions. Scott Dietrich.
Oh, shit. I'm Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. I got my survey.
Kurt.
I got my survey, and I'm not gonna fill it out, because it just undermines everything that we were for. We didn't ask for taxes, we've already got rid of it, we've already had an argument in the parking lot. Nobody asked for tax dollars, you guys did. I gotta put my name on it. We discriminated against non-property owners. Mike, you got your application, did you put your property ID on it? I don't think so, because your last house and this house was in Kelly's name. You're a non-property owner, as far as I see, but you're gonna exclude all the other property owners from doing a survey? Everybody else don't have a say but you? I mean, just the other property ID number and your name? I called the county, it's in Kelly's name. Number two, Mike is a professional bass fisherman. Congratulations on your second place win this weekend. You go on Facebook and he's well documented, every date, every video on there. Every Wednesday he's been fishing, every Thursdays he's been fishing. Thursdays at fishing shows representing Dave Walker and Heartland Insurance. He's got a video on there doing a commercial for Dave Walker. He's taking money from Dave Walker, taking money from an ex board member named Chuck Schultz that owns a sawmill company and building company. I even got pictures of him sitting at the booth. I mean, this guy's out there selling everything he pays the bass pro. I'm going to Missouri for a tournament for 4 days. Where do you get all this? I worked at Ford's, I did the bass tournaments back in the 80s. I couldn't get the time off work. I couldn't afford it. I didn't have enough vacation time. I mean, Wednesdays, Thursdays, a show, I've seen you at shows, Mike. Okay? And the money being transferred between board members and you to pay you to go fishing? I'm sorry, Mike, I think I'm tired of it, even in our national scale, of the ethics problems. It's just non-ethical, Mike. I mean, you got a right to fish, don't get me wrong, but are you using township time? You're on your salary. You can walk out the door and say, I'm going to a meeting, you're over at the bass cave, how much stuff is going on in the office on the phone? I know, with, Brighton Ford, McDonald over here, I know all you posted everything. It's a documentary. I mean, you could want to see it. And you got dates on here. I'm Thursday. I'm driving down the highway to bass fish. Are we open on Thursday? Is there supposed to be a township supervisor here on Thursday? I mean, you do this all year long. So I imagine you've got a lot of weeks of vacation. I mean, I don't know, Mike, it just doesn't look good. I mean, you got shirts with people's business names on it, and you represent the township. And these businesses are in the local area. I'm sitting here thinking, we're tired of the pay to play. We don't know what's going on. I'm not saying it's happening, but it just doesn't look good. And I mean, you gotta be fair. I mean, the discriminate against the people. I mean, I'm not putting my name on a survey. I'm not putting my ID number. And I think the questions you put on there, I got an argument with a gentleman that we've gotten along for years because he's attacking a group that's trying to do something good because he's heard something from you that's completely false. Listen, we all want the roads fixed, don't get me wrong. We all want the roads fixed, but we got a couple of groups, we're working with the Historical Society to move the building.
3 minutes.
But, come on, let's work together. You're the ones putting the rift in this township.
Anybody else like to speak?
When we read the minutes for buildings in disrepair, I wasn't sure what it was. I'm Barbara Tudor from Onion Lake. And we have a concern about property that's been on the lake and has been in disrepair since I know 96. And I think I know that Mark has been here talking with you, I'm sure, and others about those two pieces of property. And also they own another one on Farmer Road. And I just want to address our concern as homeowners. We've been there 53 years. We knew the owners owned those two properties. beforehand. And it's really sad to see our lake being represented. And we had company last week, we went around on a pontoon, and the first thing people wanted to know, are those two places still got that pontoon in the water that's been there when we were here 10 years ago? Yes.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Robert Busby. I've been a township resident since 2005. I'd like to commend the board through the years when I first moved into Tyrone Township. Huge budget deficits, we were in the red, and that's turned around in the last several years to the point that we actually have a surplus that we can work for. A lot of that's due to the diligence and the penny pinching Mr. Supervisor Cunningham mentioned to be able to fix some of the roads. With that, they've been able to purchase this new township hall. I've been in here a couple times, beautiful facility, the meetings are much more organized and kind of proud to be a member of the township compared to the old township hall. Driving here, going through the rain, drove down some of the roads that were mentioned that are going to be fixed. And kind of curious how many, people travel down those roads every day, thousands, 2,000, 10,000, vehicles a week on some of these roads. Those things are used. To be able to use some of those surplus dollars and fix it and keep people safe and, possibly people from dying, from driving down the side. I think that's where we need our tax dollars to go. That's what everybody wants. That's what you're hearing from the entire community, not just a few. We have the old town hall, that thing's been there for 50 years. The original one that was moved, I bet there has been 1,000 people through that in the last 50 years. We're talking about thousands of people going down these roads a day, and we can fix this. You guys have made smart decisions in the past. I'm sure we elected you to make those smart decisions in the future, and confident you'll do so. Thank you.
Anyone else? Sir?
So I recently moved here a couple years ago, and I normally don't make a fuss about most situations, as I prefer to sit back and listen. In fact, this is actually my first time addressing you guys. Possibly not the last. I want to talk to you about a colossal waste of money here that I see being hijacked by a Facebook group that should have been dissolved a while ago, post-asphalt plant retraction. After doing some research, let's look at just the facts. In the words of Joe Friday from Dragnet, I care about just the facts, ma'am. And the facts here are blatant and clear. I'm gonna make a lot of enemies for saying this, but it needs to be said. We have a historical society in Little Tyrone Township. I'm gonna say that again, because this just boggles my mind. We actually have a historical society here. And for what? An old townhouse, a building that has basically been the bane, the extra baggage of this township for a minimum of 20 years of absolutely no usage. A minimum of 20 years. It was maintained during this time. There was a 7-year span where the hall was in a cleanup phase, which included things like floor sanding, painting, and even a new furnace, which was paid for by your tax dollars. It's mind-boggling. And after that, the hall sat for 3 years post-cleanup. And for what? A group of selected individuals who meet for dinner and donations? This hall was literally used for storage post-cleanup. Not a single time was it ever used for anything else during this time. This precisely meets the definition of unnecessary baggage. So let's use a real-life example here. If my wife has a house, if she had a house, and we were just maintaining while she lived at my house in a different location, why would I ever think of keeping the house around? Especially for a minimum of 20 years. In fact, I would do the opposite. Sell the house, get rid of it, burn it down, whatever you have to do. Sell it for market value, right? I'm all about not wasting money, so sell it for market value. Outside of, if the Historical Society here wants it so bad, they can pay fair market value for it and let it, or if they don't, just let it go to that church that's over there. Outside of a little aesthetic gardening, where was their passion 20 plus years ago? Well, it sat as a junkyard here. I understand Facebook kind of renewed a collective interest, but that doesn't justify anything. To spend our tax money on it is completely absurd. What we have on dirt roads, on Heartland Road, on Partial Road, a bunch of places. And while we have dirt roads, I grew up in Tuscola County, and it's a much poorer township than this, I guarantee it. And there wasn't a single dirt road that we had. There wasn't a single bad road for that matter. And how is it possible? How is a much poorer township taking on and dealing with these road issues? No, I'm not against history, and I'm not against historical societies, right, when they're actually legitimate. In fact, I appreciate history. But when any small interest group tries to petition for our tax dollars, is where I draw the line. It's a very clear line. So to be bullied by a random Facebook group is absolutely absurd.
Please leave. You're out of order.
Well, everyone else has stopped him over 3, he's been well over 3 minutes.
He was not, just 3. I told you to wrap it up, but you were too busy talking. You were leaving.
Did you approve her speech today?
No, he did not.
Oh, really? And it wasn't on the agenda either. Marcia, I'll deal with your lies later.
This is what your survey's done, Mike. I
There
think
you
you
go.
can ask me.
This has nothing to do with the survey, sir. This has
You
nothing to do with
repeated
the
everything
survey.
this man just
Scott!
said.
I don't know what this man said.
I don't care.
I'm referring to
You're a
this
disgrace to
in
this
my,
township. We're gonna get you out next time. I've always liked you. I've talked to you.
Scott!
You know what? I will be glad to get
Leave.
you out of here.
You're out of order. Leave.
Listen, you're out of order. This gentleman just gave you credit for bringing this township out of this recession, and you weren't even on the board. Keith Kremer was here, and the other people. You got these people in here pumping your head full of crap.
can I finish my last 3 sentences?
Go ahead, you got, take 5 minutes.
To be bullied by a random Facebook group is absolutely absurd, and I would hope that many of the elected officials could determine right versus wrong. Get rid of the baggage. Your citizens don't deserve to take on the financial burden now or ever in the future of any small interest group, period. Thank you.
I hope everybody understands they're allowed 3 minutes to talk. If you don't like something, then address it at your 3 minutes. I am not gonna have discord at a township board meeting. This meeting is to conduct township business and township business only. The Opens Media Act requires us to give you 3 minutes to make your comments. There are people here that are very passionate one way or another. It's up to the township board to listen to them, and it's up to you guys to respect one another. This bantering back and forth in the audience is not gonna happen. And I will tell you right now, go ahead and do it, and you will be asked to leave too. If you do not leave, I'll have the deputy remove you. Make myself clear? I hope so. Anybody else have any public comment?
Yikes. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Did not anticipate all of the drama tonight, so good evening and thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to share my personal experience with a group called RCP and deliver my warning to this board. I joined a private Facebook group originally formed in the resistance to the possibility of an asphalt plant moving into our township. Once the asphalt plant rescinded their offer and the initial intention for forming the group was a moot point, they swiftly rebranded themselves and put their sights on the old town hall and teamed up with the Historical Society. Sarah Dolman Jersey posed a question in that private group in the utmost divisive and sarcastic manner. I felt I had to comment about what I was witnessing. It was clearly investigating division and creating malice towards this board, and it sickened me, which I said directly on Facebook. She sickened me. Sarah Dolman Jersey quickly agreed and edited the post, but the chain of hate had already gained momentum, some of which was aimed at me personally, echoing the inaccurate assumptions, ignorance, and underlying aggressive nature that seems to be the prominent tone to this private group. A private group comprised of non-residents and residents airing out their dirty laundry for those with eyes to see. A short while later, I attended a meeting with RCP and the Historical Society to express my desire of moving the old town hall. As the meeting was wrapping up, Sarah thanked me for my courage to coming to the meeting. This remark caught me by surprise, as courage was never a factor in my mind when I planned on and attended the meeting, but it did give me a glimpse into hers. I was consequently removed from this private Facebook group without warning. I have a pretty good idea why, but only Sarah Dolman Jersey knows exactly why. So much for transparency. What this group says and does are two very different things. Lastly, there was a woman who spoke at a previous meeting in favor of moving the old town hall, where she stated she heard and speaks for the dead people's voices. While I certainly appreciate that, anyone who knows me, I must tell you, I am hearing and speaking for the living voices when I receive phone calls and personal visits from residents and neighboring town residents wanting to know what is up with this group, RCP. I've heard them described as dramatic, aggressive, and a crazy group. It's my observation and opinion that this small group called RCP is manipulative and detrimental to the established rapport this board has strived for and worked towards for decades with its residents. Do I have any time left?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to make public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Connie Compton. This will be real short, so I'll stay here. What brought me here tonight was seeing that the Runyon Lake Road improvements were on the agenda, and I just want to say how much I very much appreciate your efforts with that. It's been a long time coming. Thank you.
Well, a lot went into getting there, so I'm glad for this day. I'll be glad when I see the pavement on the road. Anyone else? Last call. Going once, going twice. That's the end of public comment. So with no more business, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
The motion and support to adjourn the meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all for attending. Sorry for the shenanigans tonight.
My dad. I get more.